Hello, it's Connie. I am live. It looks the camera's a bit odd today. I don't know why. It's a bit dirty. Maybe we'll give you a clean. Give you a little clean. Still no better. Interesting. Okay, we move. Hello. Start again. Hello, I am back. I'm back from holiday. I have been away for 2 weeks. I haven't done my live for 2 weeks. I haven't been away for 2 weeks. And in that time, I think I may have forgotten how to speak to a camera and how to paint furniture. But no, I am here. I'm live on the Dixie Belle YouTube channel on my weekly time slot, which is for me 2 p.m. in the afternoon in the UK, which is where I am from, obviously, if you can't tell from my accent. And for you guys in the morning, I believe it's 9 a.m. for a lot of you. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Anne-Marie. Hello. Hello, thanks for joining me. So I'm back after missing 2 weeks of painting live with you. Like I say, I have forgotten how to talk. I've forgotten a lot of things. And if anyone's got any tips for getting their motivation back, I am struggling. I can't even wash my hair. Look at the state of that. It's very humid here in the UK. We had an absolutely gorgeous week away. We went down to Devon, which is on the south coast. Had a little bit of a nightmare trip to get down there. If you want to see story time with Connie, go to my YouTube channel. I did a live. I don't even know when it was. I feel like it must have been last week because we're only on Tuesday. Hi from Florida. Hello. I did a live on my own YouTube channel. So just search for Faff Designs. I did a live there. There is a playlist where all my live videos are explaining the journey down. What should have been a 4 to 5 hour trip turned into 15 hours because we broke down, catastrophically broke down. I will add, just to add a little bit of drama. So go and watch that if you want to. It's basically a therapy session. I was just venting. I was just basically telling people the problems that we had to get down south for our holiday. And yeah, it was just a form of therapy for me, basically, because it was quite traumatic. So anyway, we're back. We had a lovely time and I'm back to painting, but I am struggling with motivation massively. I don't know why. I'm normally straight back at it, can't wait to go. But I don't know what it is. Yeah, I need a big cup of motivation. So if anyone's got anything, that'd be great. Any tips of how to get back to it? So this piece behind, because I haven't really known what to do this week. I'm just trying to tilt the old camera. There we go. Haven't really known what to do in the way of my own pieces this week because, like I say, I'm struggling a bit with the old motivation. First time this has ever happened, really. I mean, we have off days, obviously everybody does, but I am struggling really just to get that inspiration, motivation. So I've been doing a lot of decorating, chopping down hedges and things like that, just to try and get my motivation back. It's not helping. I'm going to wax this piece today with you. This piece behind is actually a commission. So I have been able to kind of turn my brain off and just do it, because this is a finish that I have already done once before. So there will be no YouTube video on this particular piece because it is essentially the same as something that I've already done, and it wasn't all that long ago. So there isn't really any point me recreating a video for it because there is one that already exists. We don't get them really over here, these pieces either. They are very rare, and basically, long story short, I did one of these exact pieces with this kind of step layout a couple of months ago. It sold really quickly and my customer asked me to source another one for them, but I couldn't find one that was suitable. I did find this one at a very good price, so I bought it anyway. And it just so happens that an existing customer, a different customer that I have, saw it and wanted it done in exactly the same style that I'd done before. So that's why I'm recreating the look for another customer order. That's why I'm not doing another YouTube video on it. If you want to see the process of this kind of bohemian-y blend, there is a video on the Dixie Belle YouTube channel, and there is also a video on my own YouTube channel of that process. There are 7 colours on this, believe it or not. I use Dixie Belle's chalk mineral paint, and there's a lot of layers and colours and things like that. So there is a bit of a process involved to get this kind of bohemian-y look. So I'm at the stage now where I've kind of waited to show you guys what I'm going to do next. And what I'm going to do next is wax it. So I'm using a blue sponge. That's what I use most of the time to apply my wax with. And the reason for that is because I find it a lot easier than a brush. That's just plain and simple how it is. Some people use brushes, some people use sponges, you can use a rag. There aren't any rules. I'm just telling you the way that I do it, because I know some people do struggle with streaks, patchiness with waxing as well. I'm happy to say that Best Dang Wax doesn't really do that, but it can sometimes. It just depends on how you apply it. Like I say, there aren't any rules with really any kind of painting. I just find what works best for me and then tell you guys, because there have been some people that have messaged me and said applying it with a sponge really helps them. I just find it quicker, easier, more consistent finish, and like I say, you don't get any of the brush strokes or any patchiness. So I'm using Best Dang Waxing Clear. This looks white in the tin, but it's not. It comes out clear. It goes on sort of like a bit of hazy sometimes if you apply it quite thickly, but it does buff to a clear kind of finish. And the difference between Best Dang Wax and most of the waxes that I have used in the past is that this is actually water-based. So it doesn't smell, it doesn't give you any like weird headaches that you sometimes get with other waxes. It's really easy to apply, and also it's easy to get off. It's easy to kind of manipulate, and it's easy to add coloured waxes, which I should have got out of my toolbox and I haven't. You are applying Gator Hide on your table, on your second coat. Wish me luck. Good luck. You'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. After you've applied your wax with a rag, you use a buffing machine to give it a really good shine. Yeah, I've seen people do that as well. I don't have a car buffing machine. I've got elbow grease. So yeah, it does work though. It works really well, especially if you've got a bigger sort of flat surface. So so this has been painted and left to dry. Ideally, you want to leave your piece at least 24 hours before you add any kind of top coat. So that's wax, clear coats, Gator Hide, ideally 24 hours. Sometimes maybe even a little bit longer, just because if there's any moisture in the paint that's still trying to get out, that can compromise your finish. So I always like to leave it. I always minimum 24 hours before I'll go in with anything else. So what I'm going to do is just load up my sponge like this. This is a brand new sponge out of the pack. And I am literally just going to, oh, dropped a bit there. Just going to apply it all over. I'm just going to do these kind of doors with you here today. And you don't want too much wax on the surface, but equally you don't want too little either. So obviously chalk mineral paint doesn't, oh, I've dropped my sponge right underneath as well. That's not good, is it? Bear with, I am still here. Oh, it's gone over there. What is going on? Hang on. Oh no, this is bad. 2 seconds. I'm glad it's on a trolley thing. There we go. Just make sure there's no bits of dust on it. Where was I? What was I saying? This is what I mean. I've forgotten everything. I've forgotten. Best dang wax. Where was I? So yeah, you don't want too little product on your sponge, but you don't want too much either. And what I mean by too much is probably that. That's quite a lot of products. You don't need quite that much. But if you do apply too much product on your surface, you can undo it. So it's not a disaster. And that's another reason I like working with wax. It's very user-friendly. Clear coats take a bit more patience, a bit more, I personally think, a bit more skill. Maybe not to everybody, but definitely to me. I love using wax. I like the finish it gives. I like the fact that you can kind of play around with it and get lots of different effects. It gives a really nice sheen. So I'm just going to make sure I've got all the areas that I'm going to do. So obviously the piece that a lot of people say, when do you know how to use wax versus a clear coat? It probably is massively dictated by the amount of use that the piece is going to get and the type of use the piece is going to get as well. So, for example, I probably wouldn't wax a dining table. Some people do, so I've known some people do it, but personally, I wouldn't. If you are using something that's going to get water on top, like a vanity or maybe like a dressing table where there's products like makeup, cosmetics products, again, probably wouldn't wax, just because that there are going to be spillages at some point. Well, definitely are in my house. I don't know about anybody else. So for that kind of use, I'd go with something slightly hard wearing. So chalk mineral paint doesn't actually have to be sealed. It's very tough on its own. But because of the chalk content, it does give you a very matte finish. So for that reason, most people do add a top coat. Dixie Belle do lots of different top coats. They do Best Down Wax, they do hemp oil, they do clear coat, they do gator hide, which is back in stock, by the way. Go and check out your local retailer. Thank you, Jean. I haven't painted this on video, but I have an almost identical piece that I did paint for a video on my YouTube channel. The only difference is the steps go the opposite way. So it's the highest point is the opposite side. And this was actually bought to basically replicate that look by a returning customer who saw it had already sold, and then they wanted me to source them one and paint them one almost identical, as close as I could. So that's why I'm doing this again. It is a very interesting piece. It's very unusual. It's got sort of 4 small drawers across the bottom. Then it's got another sort of layer with a cupboard and another drawer and then a drawer at the top. The other one was very, very, very similar. Slightly bigger, but very similar. And I've done this in a very kind of bohemian layered kind of look. There's actually 7 Dixie Belle colours on here, and you'll never guess, probably 3 or 4 of them. But I followed the process of my other one just so that I could get it as close as I possibly could for my customer. So back to Best Down Wax. So yeah, chalk mineral paint doesn't actually have to be sealed. It's very tough and very durable without a top coat. The whatever your piece is intended for usage wise is probably what's going to dictate your top coat. So I do a lot of decorative pieces. This is a decorative piece. It's not something people are going to be eating their lunch off, hopefully. So it's a decorative piece. Therefore, wax is going to be absolutely fine. What do you think of using hemp oil on a piece that will have drinks on it? So hemp oil is actually very durable. A lot of people don't think it is, but it is very, very durable. So hemp oil is a drying oil, and as it dries, it soaks into your chalk paint, and if there's raw wood underneath, it'll start soaking into that. So it'll soak into whatever you're putting on top of. You can use it on top of raw wood as well. You don't just have to use it on top of chalk mineral paint. You can treat wood with it also. So it'll soak into whatever you put it onto, providing obviously that it's porous, which chalk mineral paint, you know, it'll soak into chalk mineral paint. And what it does is, as it dries, it becomes one with the thing that it's soaked into. So it dries really hard, and it's not as tough as Gator Hide, because Gator Hide actually resists water, but it is I always get mixed up between water resistant and water repellent. So Gator Hide is like your toughest of the tough. It repels. Is it water resistant? Water resistant. It's the toughest of the tough. But the other one that we were just talking about, I told you I've forgotten to speak. Basically what needs to happen is I can't ever go on holiday again, because when I come back, I've just got brain mush. I can't think, I can't speak, I can't get motivated to work. So I'm never allowing myself a holiday again, because that'll probably solve that. Hemp oil, it does actually repel water. It does actually resist water, whichever it is. I'm gonna have to look it up because I'm doing my own head in. But yeah, it's actually very tough. It's very durable. It's very tough. I've just done a coffee table in it, and it's going to be absolutely fine. I actually know somebody that did a bathroom vanity, had a sink mounted in the top of this huge unit, treated it with hemp oil, and it was absolutely fine. It was really fine. So hemp oil is actually more durable than what people think or give it credit for. Your clear coats are all pretty durable as well, but like I say, dining tables, that kind of thing that gets really high usage, anything that's going to have like potentially, I don't know, a hot drink spilled on it or something, go with Gator Hide, because that's the toughest of the tough. But as long as it really depends. I always make sure my customer knows exactly what is on my piece, because I sell all my pieces of furniture. This is a custom piece of work, obviously. Repels water. Yes, so Gator Hide repels water. Thank you. This is what I was saying about, I know my products. I just don't know what day it is currently. So Gator Hide's the toughest, but hemp oil is also very durable and tough, but it's not as tough as Gator Hide. Come back in a week. I'll hopefully have my brain in gear by then. Where was I going with this? Yes, I sell all my pieces. This is a custom, not Gators. Not to be mixed up with actual Gators. No, let's not confuse things here. I always let my customers know exactly what my piece is. So when I'm listing my piece on Etsy, on my website, wherever I'm selling it or whatever, and if it is a custom, I try and always check with my customers. This is quite obviously a decorative piece. It isn't like a functional piece of furniture. It's not a coffee table. It's not a dining table. It's not a sort of a dressing table, as we call them in the UK, where it's got, you know, cosmetics and stuff like that on. So I always try and let my customers know exactly what I have finished my piece in. So I'll always list it's been waxed for blah, 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 or it has had hemp oil for blah, 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 blah. And I always try and list that as well. So it's always good to be open with your customers, because if someone has bought a dining table off you and you've waxed it, they kind of need to know, because you might need to treat it slightly differently than what you would if it was used with Gator Hide. That's all. So yeah, I hope that I am rabbiting on, aren't I? I'm just talking, just rabbiting on. Right, let's get back to this. I need to get my black wax out as well, which I have just had out, but then I put it away again, even though I knew I needed it. And so far, I've literally had no comments about motivation. Please can somebody tell me how to get out of holiday. I'm not even in holiday mode. I'm not in holiday mode. I'm just not in work mode. And I need help. I need some help. I've tried caffeine. That's not working. Yeah. I've tried everything. I just can't get back into it. What is going on? I think it's because the drive down was so traumatic when we broke down. I had such a lovely time. I just basically switched. I never switch off completely. I've always kind of got content in the bag or stored up, or I'll always try to pop on my stories and like stay in touch and stuff. But I did completely switch off, and it was absolutely lovely. But I am feeling not the benefits. I'm feeling the repercussions of it now. I'm feeling like I genuinely don't know what day it is. I'm surprised I managed to get live on the right time, on the right day. It is Tuesday, isn't it? Let me just check that. That'd be hilarious if it was actually the wrong day. That'd just basically sum up everything that's going on at the minute. Okay, so I have waxed. We've got a bit of excess wax going on up here. And already you can kind of, well, I can. You might not be able to on camera because for some reason the camera quality, the shocking quality today, I don't know why. It looks a bit hazy and I can't figure out why. So I've just waxed these two double doors basically of this cupboard, and I can already tell the difference. So we've gone from a really kind of flat matte finish here to a finish that's just got a little bit more sheen and a bit more depth. And I could talk about wax all day. I love it. I love waxed finishes. I love it. I've got to go and get my black wax now. I'm just going to crawl off camera. I'm just going to slide off camera. I'll be back. It's just here. It's just right here in my toolbox. She says. It is here. I've got it. Okay. And then I'm here. I'm going to slide back. Slide back. There we go. Best dang wax. In. Oh, hair in it. In black. This stuff is super pigmented. And I think I'm going to say it. I think black wax is my favourite. Out of all the coloured waxes, black is my favourite, I believe. I've said it. There we go. It's a hard one for me because I do like all the coloured waxes. If you follow me, you know. But I do enjoy. I love the process of it. So I haven't buffed this. I haven't buffed the wax. I haven't removed any excess. And that's mainly because I've applied it with a sponge. So a sponge gives you a super thin coat. If you buff it now, so if you buff your clear wax, all you'll do is just remove the excess and give it a bit of a sheen. And then when you put your black wax on, it'll blend in less into the clear wax. I'm not going to remove the excess. I'm not going to buff the clear wax now because I want this to kind of melt into the clear wax a little bit. So it does alter the outcome slightly if you buffed it now. So not now, but first. So if you just want to leave your wax completely clear, you don't want to add any coloured wax, what you need to do is wait about 20 minutes for your wax to kind of just soak in and whatever and start to sort of harden off a little bit. Then you need to get either a microfiber cloth or a lint-free rag, an old pillowcase or something like that. They're really good for buffing, and then just buff away. Or like the lady mentioned, she uses a car buffer. That's extreme. I mean, that'd be ace for big flat sideboards, big flat finishes, big flat surfaces. Told you I can't speak. What is going on? You get the idea. For something that's quite small like this and it's got lots of kind of nooks and crannies, I'd just probably do it by hand and do it with a microfiber cloth. And you'll know exactly what I mean when you start to buff out your clear wax. So you'll find it has a little bit of resistance against the microfiber cloth and it feels a bit not sticky, but there's just resistance. And then as you start to buff, it'll get a little bit shinier. It'll give you that nice kind of shiny sort of sheen that gloss has, that wax has. It's tough going today, guys. Thanks for bearing with. And you are just basically removing the excess and just buffing all of those ingredients in the wax to a nice sheen. And that's it, job done. If you don't want to add any coloured waxes, then you are finished and free to walk away. But if you're like me and add a little bit extra, this is going to go, I mean, that much, probably not that much product because there's nothing on it. That much product, tiny little bit of product, goes a long way with black wax. So the other piece that I did was similar to this. It had more kind of a framework around the doors. So it's easy to give your piece a little bit of depth and dimension when you've kind of got a little bit of nooks and crannies. Have you got stuck for ideas or are having problems starting? A bit of everything, to be honest. A little bit of everything. I don't know. I've got a wall cabinet that I started before I went away. That's just primed looking at me. I mean, normally a primed piece of furniture when I got back off holiday, I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to get stuck in. But I'm just looking at it thinking, don't know what to do with it. It's just sat there for a week looking at me. It's bizarre. So where was I? Yeah, if you've got intricacy, that's a big word for me today. So, you know, little wins and all that. If you've got intricacy, paneling, carving, anything like that on your piece, it's a little bit easy to pick out where you want to put your black wax, because ordinarily your black wax is going to create depth. So it's going to push those areas back, and then any areas that are higher are going to be sort of brought forward. So it gives it more of a 3D effect, more dimension, basically. If you've got a flat piece like this, you kind of need to know where you want to go with the black wax. You could go all over and it, you know, let it sit in the natural texture of the paint and around handles and things like that. Or if you're like me, you can add a little bit of shading around edges. So this is normally what I do. So I'll either use this brush, which is just it's a very old premium chip brush. The older they get, the better they are for adding coloured wax, because they go a little bit wispy and scratchy, and that can add a really nice kind of feathered effect for your coloured waxes. Or I will, if I want the sort of an area that's a little bit more concentrated, I'll use one of these, which is a French tip brush. So these, because they're pointed, and obviously there's a very small surface area, these are really good if you want to apply wax in sort of recesses. So it fits really well down sort of in sort of corners and crevices and things like that, if that makes sense at all. So I'm going to use this because I want a kind of a wispy sort of, I'm going to create a little bit more dimension around the edges only. So can you see how I've used a little bit more dark blue around the edges? Again, it's just for dimension, so the pieces are kind of one flat colour. So all I'm going to do, and bear in mind I've already put clear wax on here, so we're safe. We aren't going to kind of ruin the paint because we've got clear wax. That clear wax is going to act as a barrier between the paint and this. So you could go in really heavy with this and hate it and remove it really easily. So if you've got your clear wax, don't panic. You can't go wrong. Trust me. So even if you go in super heavy and think, uh-oh, what have I done? Keep your original, if you are using a sponge or a baby wipe to hand or a rag with a little bit of the clear wax. Magic. I am a magician, part-time magician, full-time painter, part-time magician. So it's super easy to remove because you put that barrier between the paint and your coloured wax. If you don't, then it's a little bit harder to remove. You can still remove it. It's just a little bit tougher because what tends to happen is the coloured wax clings to the paint. It clings to it and it doesn't want to let go. So it's a little bit harder to remove. So all I'm going to do is just add around hinges, all the way around this kind of door framework. And I'm just going to blend it in, so there's no kind of harsh lines. You can either blend it in with your brush, and as the product gets less and less on your brush, you kind of just blending it out. Again, this technique is really good if you have a one colour finish. So if I'd just painted this all in one colour and you want to add depth and dimension and you're no good at blending paint, or if you don't want to blend paint, if you don't actually want two different colours, so the main colours here are Mermaid Tail and Cobalt Blue that you can see. If you didn't want to use two colours, if you just wanted to paint all over Mermaid Tail, but you still wanted to add something to your drawers or to your piece, coloured wax is a really good way of doing it without having to crack open or buy another paint colour or risk blending, because I know a lot of people either don't like blending, scared of blending, feel like they can't do blending. You can use coloured wax instead to add that kind of shading, so you haven't got to blend. No blending. And this is easier than blending as well. So I'm just going to work it in to all the way around the edges. I'm also going to get the inside of the doors. And then a little bit around the handle. Anywhere naturally really where dirt and grime, I suppose, would build up. And if black wax scares you, you could try brown wax to start off with. Brown wax is a little bit softer and it works in kind of the same way. Black wax adds a little bit more of like the grunge factor. Brown wax is more of a kind of softer antique-y look. I love brown wax with pinks. I think it's lovely. And white wax also. White wax kind of gives you a faded look, so like more of a beachy kind of sun-bleached effect. But it does age pieces just in a slightly different way, so it just makes everything look a little bit faded and washed out, which is really nice. It's a really nice effect as well. I feel like we're due a thunderstorm here. Oh, I saw a comment flash up and it went. It was a big old comment as well, and I didn't see it in time, and the comments go. So that's annoying. Apologies about that. I didn't read it quite in time. I feel like there's going to be a thunderstorm here. It's that kind of weather. You know what I mean? A bit humid and muggy. So, this door has had the black wax. This door has not. So I'm hoping you can tell the difference. And then if you do have any harsh edges, you can just take your original sponge again. It's still got a little bit of the clear wax on. It's still got a bit of the black wax where I just showed you earlier. And you can either blend your kind of edges a little bit further just to give a softer look. You can remove it all together. I'm using a really light hand. You don't need to press on at all. And all I'm going to try to do is just remove some of the wax just to... I don't want this kind of looking too grungy and dirty. So I'm just going to pull some of that black wax back off. That was a mouthful. Just so that it reveals some of that punchy blue. And it actually makes your colours look more vibrant. So it makes your pieces stand out a lot more if you do use a little bit of black wax. It's especially on sort of like the brighter, zingier colours. A lot of people say, like, how do you get your pieces to look so bright? Weirdly, it's by using black wax to shade, because then the vibrancy of the colour, the true colour where there's no black wax on it, it really kind of pops, if that makes sense. So it actually makes the pieces look more vibrant, which is weird. You wouldn't think it would, but it does. Some of the orange pieces that I've done, and pieces with tree frog green, Florida orange. What other colours have I used that have worked really well? Peony, that's another one. Peacock works really well. So it makes them pop more because you're just giving that little bit of contrast. And it also makes your pieces look more jewel toned. So anything like, I'm trying to think of any sort of plum crazy, cobalt blue, peacock is a good one. It kind of gives them like a jewel toned look, if that makes sense. So you can do a lot with coloured wax. And I'm just going to play around with this until it's where I want it to be. So you can take off as little or as much as you can with your eraser. And then the great thing about this is you can just chuck these in the washing machine and reuse them. Can you put hemp oil on top of the wax? You could if you wanted to. It's not something that I've ever done, just because you do risk reactivating the wax. So obviously the wax is water-based in this case. Most brands are not water-based. Most other brands aside from Dixie Belle are not water-based. Anything that's oil-based wax is usually the last thing that you'd ever do, because you can't put anything else on top of it unless it's oil-based. So you couldn't put a water-based top coat over an oil-based wax. With Best Dang Wax, you can do either or. So you could clear coat this first, and then if you wanted to use waxes for decorative purposes, you can do it that way round. Or if you want to use waxes for decorative purposes and then decide you wanted to add a top coat over the top, you can add a clear coat over this. The only thing to bear in mind is that your wax has to be completely dry before you add another top coat. And by completely dry, I mean leave it at least a week, at least. So you don't want to reactivate this. If you've got a nice effect with your coloured waxes, the last thing you want to do is go in with your clear coat and put it over the top, and it'll obviously smear if it's not dry completely. I would probably leave my pieces at least a couple of weeks. The only get round you can do with that is by spraying your piece, because you're not physically touching a brush or a sponge on your piece. You're just spraying a top coat over the top. So you can get around it that way, but I don't spray. I haven't got a sprayer. I haven't got the equipment to do so. I think I'd be lethal with the sprayer, if I'm honest. I think I'd end up spraying kids, dogs. Like, I wouldn't be able to stop if you started me. So I don't spray. But you can do that. I have top coated over the top of wax. It works absolutely fine. But like I say, just make sure it's completely dry before you do it, because you risk smudging it. So you can do that. So that's one side. That's as much as I'm going to go. I don't know why the camera quality is so bad today. It looks horrendous. It looks... I don't know if it's the light or the lens. I'm not sure. Maybe I've got seawater in it from holiday. But that's as much as I want to go. I'm going to probably just pull a little bit more off. Maybe there. I don't know. Just play around with it and get it to the point where you're happy with it. Again, leave it for about 20 minutes before you rub it off, because otherwise you'll just erase it all. And then you'll not get any benefit of putting the black wax on. But the good thing about this sponge is it's kind of buffing it as it's going. So you're not going to have a huge sort of amount of excess to remove and buff off, if that makes any sense at all today. If it doesn't, I apologise. If anyone's only just joined, I came back from holiday. I've got no excuse. I've been back off holiday a week, and I'm still not with it. I'm not with it. We were on holiday for 10 days, and I can't get my brain back to full speed. I'm sure it'll happen. It might be because the kids are still at home. The kids aren't back at school yet for another, I think it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So it could be that. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not entirely with it. So that's that, basically. That's how you can add a little bit little bit of something extra to your pieces without having to, you know, blend and add all the different colours. Although I have got a lot of colours going on here, but you know what I mean. You could do that over any plain colour, and trust me, it would add so much to a piece. So I'm going to carry on with this because this is actually going home on Monday. So my customer's coming to pick it up, so I'm going to get it finished. Otherwise, she'll be going back empty-handed if it's not finished. It will be finished. It'll be finished today. There's not a lot left to do on it at all. Just a quick wax, and I'll get it staged up and I'll show it on my Instagram and Facebook. In the meantime, make sure you are subscribed to the Dixie Belle YouTube channel, and make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. She's coming along lovely, my YouTube channel is. I'm very pleased with everybody that follows me over there. And also, massive thank you if you follow me on all my other social media platforms, because yeah, hitting some staggering numbers. Don't understand quite why, because as you can clearly see, I am not polished. And half the time I don't even know what I'm on about, but I'm nearly at 70,000 followers on Instagram, which is pretty phenomenal. So many thanks if you do follow me on those social media platforms. And that's me. I haven't got any more holidays booked, which is probably for the best, considering don't even know what day it is. So I'll be back every Tuesday. I'll be back here on the Dixie Belle YouTube channel, showing you something different every week. 2 p.m. UK time, 9 a.m. EST. I'm surprised I get this far today, to be honest with you. Thanks for watching. My talent shines through the brain fog. Well, thank you for that. I'm glad it does. Otherwise, Dixie Belle are going to sack me. They're going to be like, yeah, she's lost it. So take care, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all same time next week. Bye.